Hey everyone, this is Peggy with Natural Awakening Chicago Magazine, and I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you to Women in Wellness, which is a very special feature that we're doing in our May issue in print, online, and throughout our social media and YouTube channels. And we are introducing you to a lot of the wonderful women practitioners in health and wellness focused businesses in the Chicagoland area. And we're going to get started today speaking with Karen Kring of the Kring Group. And she's the photojournalist who is taking us on this wonderful journey through this issue. So, welcome, Karen Kring. We're going to start with Karen. As I mentioned, she was our fabulous photojournalist for this journey. And Karen is with the Kring Group, a small agency leveraging the talents of emerging and veteran media and marketing professionals. She founded it, and I'm going to start Karen today with tell us a little bit more.
Well, the Kring Group has been around for over 10 years. We specialize in social media, media relations, and especially good at visual storytelling. And I've been enjoying it. I love all my clients, and I was really pleased to be able to participate in the Women of Wellness project and got the chance to photograph, my photojournalism side.
Mhm.
Got the chance to take pictures of so many of the women at the Botanic Gardens, which was fun, and then sometimes at their offices and other locations like the Rotary's International Friendship Garden in Evanston.
In Evanston, yeah.
And yeah, it was a blast. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Well, I know everyone enjoyed working with you and experiencing your photos from a photojournalism and storytelling point of view. How do you see that as different from a regular photograph when you're actually using storytelling?
Well, these were not candids.
Mhm.
These were set up shots. So when I think about photojournalism, I about more getting what people think about it more as getting what people are doing naturally and not posing them.
Mhm.
And this was posing them in a location, and
Yeah.
the subjects, posing the subjects. And the journalism part comes when you can't manipulate the situation very much. I also take in studio portraits as
Mhm.
well,
And
and that
headshots.
is totally controlled. And there's no wind, there's
Yeah.
no uh, changing of light, there's no trees that are throwing leaves around,
Yeah.
and so there was an element of serendipity involved in the shoots. Um, and some trying to get the portraits right, get the show the women that I was photographing at their best.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of what you do is, again, working with media, working with people,
Yep.
telling stories in addition to your headshots. And one of the questions I want to ask you is, what role do you think media, especially photojournalists, can be taking right now with getting people more aware of health and wellness concerns, be it COVID or be it their overall health moving forward?
um that's a great photojournalists during these times are having a hard time, given the economy and the nature of what's going on in media, finding clients to work with. There's much fewer photojournalists on staff for newspapers and magazines anymore.
Mhm.
So if they're going to focus on health and wellness, they are going to have to initiate it themselves and possibly find a client afterwards after they initiate the project themselves. I was just fortunate that you knew me and I didn't approach you about doing this project.
Yeah.
You approached me. Um, but uh, Photojournalism its power cannot be underestimated. People uh, read newspaper articles and magazine articles, but it's the visuals that they see first,
Mhm.
and it's headlines, photos, and captions are in that order, is what readers are looking at. And uh, it is just unfortunate that photojournalism isn't being as supported as it has been in the past.
Now, I think maybe a twist on that question for you would be if for our viewers who are health practitioners, wellness professionals, or have businesses related to health and wellness, how do you think they could be using images on social media, images on their website, or working with local media with images to tell their stories right now?
What's really valuable is if they go ahead and finance a project and have a photojournalist take it for them for themselves.
Mhm.
Um, there are fewer photojournalists on staff at newspapers and magazines these days, and sometimes they don't even, if they even have somebody on staff, they don't have the time to go make the pictures.
Yeah.
So what's really cool is if you can finance it yourself, you'll have more control over the output, and it'll be useful for your own social media and your own media relations if you want to um, be in mainstream media.
Mhm.
Um, the kinds of things you could do are really simple. Sometimes it's just taking pictures of a happy client at your practice and having them do a Q&A,
Yeah.
answer some questions that would go along with the fine portrait. Um, if you're up for it, it's lovely if you can get a client to um, cooperate and allow the photojournalist to get pictures of uh, the practitioner and the client in action.
Mhm.
That's even more valuable because if when you're talking about massage, or if you're talking about dance, or if you're talking about um, like lymphatic drainage, people want to know what that's about. And picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yeah. The old adage.
Yep.
One of the things I want to ask you about, I'm switching topics a little bit, but one of your big projects is Media Curious,
Yeah.
where you are talking to other professionals in media.
Yeah.
What conversations are you having now? What are the important things that we should be focusing on in the media?
One of it media curious, I've been thinking about it forever. And when the pandemic came along and Zoom was ubiquitous, I found that I had my system for producing these recordings. And I initially thought it would be radio. I thought it'd be maybe a podcast. And then when I came up with Zoom, I'm like, I can actually do it with video.
Yeah.
So I just finished episode number 10, which was with Michael Puente, who's with WBEZ radio.
Mhm.
And the thing that I've asked everybody throughout, starting with Madeline Ihadurika, who's a columnist for the Sun Times, all the way through Michael Puente, is what do you think of the havoc being wreaked on media these days?
Mhm.
And the other question is, given that there's a relationship that gets built between the journalist and their viewership or readership, what is it that they think they owe the readers and the viewers? And almost always they come up with trust,
Okay.
that they have to trust they have to be truthful,
Mhm.
and they have to be able to trust um, what they're reporting on. And the truth has been very important to everybody who I've talked to about this so far. And it's also unanimous that we're sad about what's going on in the media these days regarding the too much misinformation, the gutting of staff, um, the change in the economics of uh, how media is produced.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's what we're talking about. And the point of Media Curious is to demystify the media.
Mhm.
So in Chicago, I'm mostly talking to people that are Chicago based. And in Chicago, we don't have movie stars and TV stars. We have politicians, we have athletes, and we have our news media.
Mhm.
And so of those three, the news media is covered the least. And yet it's one of the most important aspects of in our society in order for citizens to be able to make decisions as citizens.
Right. Right. So if somebody wants to watch Media Curious and get involved, where do they go?
Well, you can do the hashtag Media Curious on Facebook and yeah, on Facebook, and a bunch of things will come up for sure. Um, it's not just my interviews that I'm hashtagging, but it's also other articles other people have written that give you a look behind the scenes of what media is about. You can also go to YouTube and look up Karen Kring, Media Curious, and it'll come up. So.
And your blog off of the Kring group.
Oh, yeah, and yes, and you'll find it if you go to the Kring group. The blog, my blog has some mentions of my recordings.
I guess one more question for you in general.
Yeah.
What are your favorite topics to cover as a photojournalist?
You know, it's interesting. I when I started in photojournalism, I freelanced for the Chicago Tribune, and one of the most common uh, subjects that I would cover would be um, reforestation and replanting prairies, and trying to get rid of the invasive species and trying to replant with native plants.
Very important topics.
I really enjoyed that a lot. And it was a blessing to be able to go to the Botanic Gardens and spend so much time there making photos with people and without. Got a handful of pictures, just of the flora
Yeah.
that was there. Um,
And as you know, the whole natives is near and dear to my heart too.
for her.
Yeah.
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 The other one is I do enjoy portraits. I like doing environmental portraits the best. I enjoy doing the studio portraits because you can make some special things happen there. But getting a portrait of somebody in their natural habitat, I enjoy very much, and helping them, as I did with the women of wellness, helping them look their best and tell a story through the portrait we can create. So those are some of my favorite things. The other one I would say are kids, anything involving kids.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Karen. I've enjoyed the conversation today. Love your work in Women in Wellness and your Media Curious interviews and a lot of your other pieces.
Thank you. And thank you for letting me participate in Women of Wellness. I enjoyed helping you produce it. And
And there you
there
are.
I am. Yep, there I am.
Right there.
Yep.
Thanks so much, Karen.
My friend Robert Potter made that picture of me, which it's hard. It's hard to get, your friends are busy. They all want to take your picture, but then when they don't always have the time. So it was nice that he was able to make the time.
Yeah. Well, it's a great photo and love your work. Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you, Peggy.